Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Sibling Trap Podcast. I'm your host, Katie slash Katrina, and over there is Barry. If you're on YouTube, you see us. We're hanging out. Also, I like to blur the background of my Zoom because I'm in the car in a parking lot and it becomes very distracting. Like everyone driving by and like random people just like walking past my car. So, here we are. Barry has something on his mind that he wants to share with us, a practice, so to speak, that he's been leaning into. And I would love to hear why you do it, how you do it, and how it's changing you for the better.
For sure. Yep. What's up, y'all? So yeah, I've chose my topic today to be meditation because, like Katie said, a lot of the changes that I've seen and that I've experienced in the last year, maybe probably mostly like the last 6 months, have been benefits of meditation because I spend a lot of time meditating. I really do. And honestly, I before I started committing to it like once a week, um, I would say I didn't quite understand what meditation was. I thought, oh, it's like you get into your yoga pose and you just sit there in silence and like clear your head completely. And honestly, now that I've gotten so used to doing it, it's kind of like taking a shower to me, or like brushing your teeth. Like it's that daily or weekly habit that you do to keep yourself clean, and it's for your mind. Um the big benefits of it, mostly it just gives you a way to look at things in a new light, especially those things that cause you stress. It's a way to build skills to manage that stress too. you know I spend, like I said, told you earlier, I spent an hour and a half meditating and I lose track of time. I'll sit there for an hour and not even realize it's been an hour, just because, like, I mean, you do kind of lose track of time because you're not like constantly looking at your phone and you're not like constantly looking at the clock. I have like 14 clocks in my house, so I
Really?
see the time all the time. Maybe not 14. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but I have like two or three around the house that I can always see. But it makes you a lot more like self-aware too. So like you spend that time sitting there in. I mean, I some people like to play music, some people play like sounds or like alpha waves in the background. I prefer silence. And what's really interesting to me is I live in an apartment and you can still hear your upstairs neighbor walking around, or like a car, somebody locking their car outside, but it's like really up to you to kind of like tune those ambient noises out. And I've
Can
noticed
I
through
just say
time
that
with,
that really impresses me because I cannot do that. I have to have like an atmospheric, like with my headphones on, like I need it to be guided. I need it to be visualization. Like I can't do that. So that's a big deal.
right, yeah. And to be honest with you, Katie, when I first started out, I had to have it guided too. It kind of got me into the zone, I guess you could call it, like the meditation zone.
Hmm.
There was one time I did a guided meditation. I was laying down on my bed and I totally fell asleep. Like I just
Yeah.
complete serenity, just like
That's how I fall
peace.
asleep every night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really beneficial. I mean, especially if you have trouble falling asleep, using like alpha waves and different what's the ones that you use? What's it called?
Like the subliminal
Yeah,
messages.
subliminal messages, yeah. But it basically, having that sound really helps you just kind of tune out everything else in the world. And I'm able to do it without it now, just because I've spent a lot of time meditating. And I got to a point where I was like, I'm going to try it without any alpha waves or any music or anything in the background. And I started to notice that it took more focus on the present. Like it helped me focus more on the present because I would hear the little ambient noises and I would catch my brain like, oh, what was that? And then you have to literally tell yourself, Don't worry about what that was. Worry about what you're thinking about. Like focus, 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 focus. So yeah, focusing on the present is another huge benefit. Reducing negative feelings. So like, I like honestly, like you hear your neighbors walking around upstairs and you get a negative feeling about it. You're like, oh, but elephants, geez, why are they so loud? But like you have to focus on, oh, hey, they're just walking, they're not doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
So you have to like reduce those negative feelings. I mean, it all kind of wraps into it, but some of the other benefits, it helps you be more creative. It helps you be more patient. It helps lower your resting heart rate and your resting blood pressure. And it also helps you sleep better. Like you said, meditating before bed is definitely a huge benefit. I wear a Whoop strap. So like I am able to track these meditations through like an activity on the app. And it actually shows like my heart rate and my blood pressure and all that stuff and how it goes up and down, how it fluctuates, which is super beneficial because you can actually like kind of build that data and look back and see that you're like actually getting better at maintaining a lower heart rate or lower resting heart rate.
So how does
So
that
that's
compare
definitely
to like
something.
an Apple Watch or like one of those like Aura rings that people wear?
I don't have a whole lot of experience with those, to be honest with you, but I know
Okay.
that Apple has kind of a same feature where you can track your heart rate and stuff. I'm not sure if they have like activities. Like that's the great thing about Whoop, and I'll try to be a spokesperson for Whoop, but Whoop is
Not
pretty great
sponsored.
because they have I wish they have like different activities that you can track and
Hmm.
using I mean I have the watch version, but they have like different ones that go around your arm or on your chest. um but basically it just shows you like your baseline heart rate, your resting heart rate. And it also kind of shows you like your stress level too. So every time I meditate, my Whoop app literally tells me, "Hey, your stress level went down today," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, duh." um, so yeah, so I mean, that's some of the benefits to it. And like my technique. I mean, it's all about your technique, and you have to feel comfortable and calm, and that's like the best way I can describe it for anybody that's new to meditation. Um, but like basically I light a candle just because I like having some light, and I turn all the other lights off in my house. I make it real dark. The only light I have is the candlelight, and that's just so I'm not like sitting in the complete darkness. I mean, the candle's nice because it smells good, and it kind of gives like that aromatherapy too, so like as I'm meditating while also breathing in like some essential oil or whatever. But I sit on a pillow on the floor. Some
Mhm.
people prefer to lay down. When I first started, I like to lay down because it kind of like, it gives you that feeling of like floating. Like you said, you did a float tank, and float tanks are super cool. I haven't done one.
Awesome.
I've heard about all the benefits of them. All my friends have told me you need to try this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I've just never actually scheduled or booked one. So, but basically, it's the same feeling. You're laying on your bed. You basically relax all of your muscles from your toes to your head to your fingertips, and you just lay there and just like you're basically just becoming so aware of your body that it just kind of it helps get you into that relaxation mindset. So yeah, some of the meditation benefits for like illnesses, a lot of research suggests that meditation helps people manage symptoms like anxiety, asthma, cancer, chronic pain, depression, heart disease, high blood pressure, irritable bowel syndrome, sleep problems, definitely for me, sleep problems, and then tension headaches. So like those are like a lot of the illness benefits behind it. Um,
Why
so
did you
like
start meditating?
honestly, I started meditating because I just had like this, I don't know, imagine like a ball of fuzz just bouncing around in your brain at all times, just
Okay.
like constantly having these thoughts of like decreased self-worth, just I mean, I just had a lot on my mind at all times. And I thought, what would be the best way for me to clear my head? And yeah, I run really, really long distances and I spend a lot of time running. And I do think about a lot of the same stuff, but I think about it differently when I'm meditating because I'm relaxed and I'm
Mm.
calm and I'm just in a completely different headspace versus when I'm running, I'm energized and I'm moving, I'm stressing my body really hard. So I don't feel like running is the best time for me to get through a lot of these thoughts. I think a lot when I run. Yeah, I sure do. But I don't I feel like it's a completely different spectrum of thought process. You know what I
Like
mean?
you're not really doing like the work when you're running. Like you're not like
Yeah.
reflective work.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Okay.
thinking about, and this is funny because they tie together. They really do. I think about the things that I want to meditate about when I'm running. I'll be
You're
like, I'll
making a
come
mental
up.
list.
Yeah, basically, I'm coming
Yeah.
up with the ideas and the creativity behind what I need to meditate about because I'm like, what's bothering me while I'm
Hmm.
out running? And then whenever I, have my meditation days, I remember what I was thinking about when I ran and I'll work those ideas out in my head. So, I mean, a lot of people have a lot of relationship issues that they want to think about during meditation. A lot of people want to think about like their health and their mental health, career moves, career choices. I mean, I've thought about it all. I've done it all. I've literally made plans while meditating for like the next 5 years of my career.
That's what I was
Like,
gonna ask you because like a lot of times when I'm doing a meditation, like I do like a visualization where I'm like envisioning the future. And sometimes I'll even envision like the future me. There's one meditation that I do where it's like the timeline one, from one of my former mentors. And like you imagine yourself like going forward on the timeline and like looking back at like how far you've come, like as your future self, and
right.
like imagining your life as it is in the future. But I don't know if everyone does that in meditation.
Yeah. I That's something that I definitely do just because I'm like I'm taking that time to kind of not necessarily plan, but it's like brainstorming. You're like, well, if I'm going to play the what if game, I might as well do it while I'm relaxed, and make these
Yeah.
plans and make these ideas because you never know, the ideas that you have today could become your passions tomorrow or like the actual reality
Hmm.
of your life tomorrow. So, I mean, like the different parts. So if like somebody who's a little confused about how to get into the actual meditation session, like you basically start with like your focused attention. So you're like focusing on yourself, on your body, on your breathing, and that goes into the next thing, like your relaxed breathing. Like it use like different techniques to get your breathing controlled. And basically you're just becoming so controlled and so relaxed over your own body that you're basically just like able to not focus on anything but what you're thinking about, like just focusing strictly on your thoughts. um a quiet setting definitely helps. Some people, like I said, you might be able to meditate in a traffic jam, but that's probably not where I'm gonna choose to meditate. Like a lot of people will talk about like daydreaming. Like I daydream a lot when I'm at work because I'll be like walking around, or doing something and that doesn't take a lot of labor and I'll just be thinking about different things that I want to meditate about. So a comfortable position is definitely important. And then having an open attitude. So like when I say by open attitude, I mean like let thoughts pass through your mind without judging them. And that is something that it took me so long to grasp and so long to understand. Like what I mean by don't judge them is like when you think about yourself or you think about your future or you think about your past, you have to look at it with an open mind and just you don't judge it. Like you don't feel emotion at all. Like you let all emotion go and you just think logically about
You
whatever it is
become
that
you become a neutral observer. You're like, oh, that's
exactly.
coming up
Yeah,
for me. I can dive into that later more.
exactly. And it helps you just get to that new level of thought And I like it's so hard to explain, but once you get into it and you kind of try these techniques out, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about when I say, pass those thoughts through your mind without judging them. But yes, everyday ways to practice, you breathe deeply, scan your body, you repeat a mantra. Like if you're religious, you have different like prayers, or different religions
Or
have
just
different
affirmations.
affirmations. Yeah. Some people like to walk and meditate. So they'll go, like they'll go find somewhere that they can walk to, and while they're walking, that's how they meditate. Some people pray, no judgment here. I'm not religious, but prayer is definitely a different form of meditation. Reading and reflecting, so like reading different poems or reading different scriptures or things like that, and then also reflecting on what those mean to you. Um, but like I think the end all be all of all of this, and what everybody should really focus on when they're meditating, is like focus on your love and your kindness. I think that's what a really good takeaway that anybody can get out of meditating. And I think that's also like it plays into like being calm and being able to control your emotions and control your thoughts. Like controlling your thinking is probably one of the hardest things anybody can ever do. And I'm definitely a huge testament to that, because I have an overthinking mind, and I will sit here and I'll be a mouse in a fucking mouse wheel just running all day long in my brain. And when I get those moments to meditate, I have that, like that is my main focus, and that is my main goal, is to just control my thoughts, control what I'm thinking about, control how I'm thinking about them. And that's the biggest takeaway that I can give anybody on meditation. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
definitely try it.
I feel like a lot of times, so in my membership, I have a membership. I'm not plugging it here really, but we will sometimes do a meditation, like a release meditation around the full moon. So like every full moon, we do like a let's just sit down and like do a nice little energetic release meditation guided, and then we write down what came up for us. And a lot of times things will come up for you, whether you're meditating or like writing after meditating, that you didn't even realize were bothering you. And you're like, oh wow, like this is really like clinging to me, and I need to dive into why it's really clinging to me and like work through that. So the more that you do
Right.
this, the more you really start to peel back those layers and start to really grow into the person that you're meant to become. But when you don't meditate, I feel like you're just always busy distracting yourself, like one thing to the next, and you're not even letting your, this is the hardest part, is like being alone in your thoughts. And a lot of us don't do that
Sweet. Yeah,
because it's uncomfortable. But meditation is like the true work to get you uncomfortable, to make you into a better person.
absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better myself. I know a lot of people that are guilty about distracting themselves with other people and other things, other
Mhm.
activities. Like they cannot be alone, Katie. And that is where I'm just, and I used to be like that. I used to be like that. I look back at, the past self, and I see moments in time where I'm like, oh, I would come home immediately after work, shower, change, and immediately go to the bar. I didn't want to be home alone. I didn't want to be alone with my own thoughts. I was
Mhm.
afraid. Um, and I know people that say, "Oh, I love my alone time. I love being independent. I love being alone." But they have somebody over all the time, or they're constantly doing something to distract their mind, and I just laugh about it, because I know that they're lying to not only me, but they're lying to themselves. Like they're saying that they enjoy that alone time, and they're just not at peace. And that's what I've really drawn the line in the sand for myself, is I just want to be at peace. And
Mhm.
you're not going to be at peace all the time. Yes, there are stressful situations in life that you're going to have to deal with, but being at peace helps you deal with those stressful situations, because you can fall back on that. You can go, oh, well, I know how to be peaceful. Yeah, this is stressing me out, but I'm going to work through this so I can go back to being that peaceful person that I want to be. So
Yeah. I think also this is a really good lesson to like not only do ourselves but also like our children, because they are also so busy. Their mind is always, on to the next thing. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm doing it perfectly. You know, a lot of people compliment me on my motherhood skills and, you know, my Zen attitude, but like, you know what? My kids are going through a hard year too. You know, their parents are getting divorced, a lot is changing, their mom has a new job. Like, there's so much going on that I know that they have a hard time being alone with their thoughts. So every single night we do a meditation at the end of the night, like as they're falling asleep. And I'm always like, is there something you want to ask about? Is there something on your mind? But, you know, I would love to, I guess, facilitate more time without the distractions because I do have more than one thing going on. And a lot of times it's like, okay, let's watch an educational thing on your iPad, but that's still a distraction, even though, of course, it can be worse. But we all need more stillness because our problems aren't going to go away. Our feelings aren't going to go away.
Right.
We will eventually have to face them. And there's this quote that says, um, oh, fuck, what's the quote? Oh, what you resist will persist. Like whatever you're ignoring is still going to be there and it's going to get bigger.
Oh
So,
yeah.
whether it's for ourselves or our kids, just getting more intentional about our time and stillness.
Incredible.
Yeah,
What you resist will persist. Wow. I'm gonna have to write that one down. That's a good one.
it's
It's
good.
so
Good
true
shit.
though. I mean, it's not just like life, the things in life, but it's like your thoughts and your emotions and your feelings. Like if you resist those things and you don't think about them, you don't work on them, and you don't exercise them, then they're just going to get bigger and bigger. And you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
That's incredible. What a great way to look at it.
Hmm.
So,
Um, Yeah. So, what are two ways that you've become a better person because of meditation? Like, have you noticed overall your mentality changed?
like I said, being able to control my thoughts, I think, is the biggest one, especially in stressful situations. Like before I meditated a lot and before I spent that time working on it, I would say when things got under my skin, I had a tendency of like becoming a snowball effect, like rolling downhill, just compounding and turning those thoughts over and over and over in my brain, like constantly thinking about whatever it was that was bothering me. Um,
Were you
the
quick to resort to anger as well, or no?
Yeah, definitely quick to resort to anger. And that would be like my second point is just being calm, like not
Mhm.
only controlling my thoughts but also controlling my emotions. I've gotten a lot better at remaining calm through situations and remembering that no matter what happens, as long as I control my reaction to whatever it is, I'm going to be better off for it. Not only me, but whoever else is involved and affected by how I act, and that's the thing that it took me a long time to understand is that not only is the situation creating a problem, but my reaction to the situation is creating more problems. And I had to learn that I I would have to react accordingly, but not just accordingly, because like there's like the whole saying, like I watch a lot of you know, what's his name? Joe Rogan, right? A lot of his quotes and stuff on TikTok, but there's the one where it's like, you want to be a warrior in a garden, not a gardener in a war, right? And being able to be not necessarily violent, but to have that capability of violence and that anger and stuff like hidden inside of you, but being able to control it and use it when it's necessary, but when it's not necessary, obviously be calm. So like thinking about like how I react to certain things, like I have to react to things in a calm manner because that's really the control. That's really showing how much control you have over your own emotions. And there's been times in my past that I regret. I do, Katie. There are times where I'm like, I should have handled that differently. I should have reacted better. I shouldn't have said the things that I said. I shouldn't have yelled. And it hurts every day because I think about it and I look at it like from the perspective that I have now. And I'm like, wow, like if that had happened to me now, I feel like I would have been so much better, because I've spent that time on my own and spent the time meditating and thinking about how I control my emotions and my thoughts. And I wish I
Can I
could
make
go
it?
back and change it, but you can't. So,
I have a suggestion.
I'm
I
always
have
open
brought
for
this up.
suggestions. So,
I've brought this up to you before, but I feel like it's more powerful now. So for those instances that you're referring to that you wish you could go back and change, I would suggest you sit down and script about them. Like script about what happened up until the moment that you made that decision, but then rewrite it a different way. So then you're taking control of the response that you should have done or wish that you have done and like actually play it out. So it ends up being a different scenario.
I'll do that. Definitely.
I think that it would heal you a little bit if you could do that, just to like see it play out mentally and then on paper.
Right. Just script it into what I would do now that I have all this,
The healed version.
healed training. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Sounds like a plan. You know me, I'm all about scripting. I've been doing it a
I've done
lot
that
lately,
before.
actually.
I've
I
I've
don't
done that
think I've ever
before.
taken like a past scenario and scripted about it. That's something new. I'm gonna try
Yeah,
it.
I did it like when there was a couple times when I wasn't the mom that I wanted to be, right? Like whether I was short-tempered, it was a while ago, but um I sat down and I rewrote the whole thing. I'm like, this is how I would do things if I could do it differently. And it felt so powerful to like release it. It's like I'm not feeling shame around how I reacted. Instead, I'm taking my power back. I'm like, I know how I should have done things, and now I can predict or like prepare to do them this way next time.
Right.
Because you're like writing it into reality, kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
It's great advice.
Well, thanks for anything else you wanted to share.
No, I think that was it.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We would love your feedback if you are a consistent person who meditates or if you are curious about it. I'm sure Barry would answer any questions you have. And yeah,
Yeah, I'd love the feedback. If you need help figuring it out, I'm not an expert by any means, but I have spent, like I said, the last 6 months. I did do it daily for like a few months, and then it was more like I did it weekly because I mean that's the time that I had allotted. So,
hmm
but every once in a while, excuse me, every once in a while, I'll do like an emergency meditation session. Like if something is really bothering me and I have like
yeah,
really big feelings about it, I'll just, put life on hold for, 30 minutes to an hour and I'll work that out and I'll figure out the rest after. So, but yeah,
yeah.
guys,
And I feel like if you are not ready to do the silent meditation like Barry does, great resources are on YouTube if you just search the guided meditation. Or I know there's the Calm app, or I have Insight Timer as well. That's another app. There's so many resources out there that, don't let the excuse of I don't know where to start stop you from getting started.
right. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks for
Cool.
listening, everyone.
Well,
We'll see you next week.
see ya.
Bye.
Bye.